Recording. Okay, let's go. So let me start the video on our value-added product development center. This is a two-step process whenever I show a video.
The Wahiwa Value-Added Product adds to the educational mission of community colleges. Hawaii has celebrated success in agriculture, and we want to support local agriculture by investing and growing the Made in Hawaii, Produced in Hawaii, and Processed in Hawaii brands. Resources available on site will support local entrepreneurs in improving their products and business models, reducing the need for businesses to leave Hawaii to become viable. We offer programming curtailed around value-added businesses, equipment that are unique to Hawaii and typically too expensive for small businesses. Provide consulting and know-how to help improve products, reduce cost of production, and increase shelf life, all critical to the success of local products and are now available in Central Oahu for statewide access through the community colleges. When we look at facilities that can help support scaling products, bringing new products to market, there's very few in Hawaii. Equipment like our hyperbaric chamber that will help stabilize shelf life for products. These are things that our entrepreneurs need so that their products can get into the store, so that their products can make that trip across the ocean. Keeping businesses local, supporting local agriculture, and strengthening local entrepreneurial pipelines are core to the mission of the Wahiwa Value-Added Product Development Center and the community colleges. I would love for you to learn more about what we are doing here by looking at our website and joining us for a tour so that we can continue strengthening Hawaii's local economy through agriculture.
So that's our facility up in Wahiwa. And let me check the room just to make sure I haven't left anybody out there who wants to come in. Okay. All right. So let's get on with our presentation for the evening. I'll share my screen one more time and we'll get to our discussion tonight. So one of the things that is really perplexing right now is the economy the way it is. It's really in a up and down motion. So what I'm showing you are for the last several decades, what recessions and downturns have taken place. And so in 1973, the OPEC oil embargo, that took almost like 6 years for us to recover from that. Right after that, there was an early 80s stock crash, and that lasted 3 or 4 years. In 1987, there was a Black Monday stock crash. That lasted 3 years. In 2001, there was a dot-com crash that lasted 4 years. And then in 2001, September 11th, that caused a downturn and not a total crash, but a really slowing down of the American economy, which lasted 3 years. And then the big one for this particular era is the subprime recession. That subprime recession was a global recession, and it took 9 years for that subprime recession to actually get to the point prior to that recession. So in 2017 is when it was officially noted that the recession was over. And then just 3 years later, in 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic started. Of these seven I'm showing you, I was running a business from 1973 to the subprime recession. The only recessional period that I wasn't managing a company was in that COVID-19 pandemic. But at that time, I was serving as the president of the Society of Human Resource Management Hawaii chapter, and I was working closely with a lot of companies. And so I have an idea what they were doing to try and still try to recover from that pandemic. So you might want to ask, what's happening right now? So how Hawaii economy is in a mixed kind of uncertainty position. That slowing economy, the projected real GDP growth in 2025 is 1.2. Here's something interesting. Last month, I did a workshop on uh, multiple revenue streams. And when I looked up what the growth rate was, projected was 1.7. So in a 30-day period, the growth rate has dropped a full 0.5%. So you can see how that is changing how the economy is in a flux. So it's really in high uncertainty area. And this causes a lot of concern for businesses as it's very difficult to plan and it's very difficult to move forward on any area in which you want to start to think about growth. And then now that we are just starting to recover from the 2020 COVID pandemic, we have the 2025 tariff wars. Again, the economy is again possibly heading towards a real drop. So what happens right now is we are in a period of a growing price creep. And that price creep will cause falling demand at an increasing rate. The longer this continues, the demand will start to fall at an ever increasing rate, which is typical of economics. When prices rise, sales fall. Let me stop short there. Just want to go back and check, make sure. So in this case, this is where we are right now. We're in a situation where we're in this really starting of an area that is going to perhaps very soon hit the tipping point in when that economy will start to really slow down. So let me go back and share my screen with you. So what's going to happen next is there's going to be an economic ripple. It'll start to fan out further and further and further as the length of this uncertainty persists. And what businesses will do, businesses like yourselves, what they'll do is they'll attempt to find what will work best under these economic conditions. Again, it may not seem like it's much happening, but it's always showing these ripples are starting to already show up, especially in the construction area, where construction and manufacturing costs have suddenly been driven up by these different tariffs. And so, what do businesses want when the economy is slowing? Of course, they want more customers and more sales. What do businesses do to get more customers and sales? And these are typical reactions of business in any economic downturn situation, whether it's a light downturn or a heavy downturn. They typically move into these directions. They advertise more often, they cut selling prices, and then they go ahead and focus on lower prices as a go-to-market tactic. So it's not just cutting a price occasionally, but it's a full-blown strategy to move forward in cutting prices on a consistent basis. And lastly, they aggressively attack competition. So these are typical reactions when the economy starts to slow. Now, the other question is, what do consumers want when the economy is slowing? And the answer might be surprising. This is what they want. They want to feel appreciated, that they are being heard, that they matter, they belong to a community, and they want to feel safe. So this is interesting from the standpoint is that consumers have a different perspective about downtown economy than businesses. And this is why if you want to be quick and nimble, and in these uncertain times, a business needs to be quick and nimble to respond to the customers, and to be quick and nimble and agile, and to respond quickly to your customers, you need to be on the same page. And so this evening, what we're going to be discussing is how do we get the businesses like yourself and your customers on the same page so that you can respond to their needs and respond to the market's needs in a quick and nimble manner so that you can take advantage of opening opportunities. So we're going to discuss 4 areas. First one is focusing on customer retention. Next is emphasizing brand value and empathy. The next is targeted discounts and creative promotions. And the final one is compete against the right competitors. So again, these are the 4 areas that we'll be exploring in the next 45 minutes. So let's first take a look on the first one, focus on customer retention. So this is really important. Customer retention is really a reflection of a business ability to meet and exceed customers' expectations. And what happens is that customers that are retained, are loyal, they have a trust and loyalty bond with you that creates an emotional connection so that they remain constantly an advocate of your brand and your product. So it's really customer retention creates an emotional connection. And it's all about emotion when it comes to having customers become really brand loyal and brand advocates. And I like to focus on one of the areas in which every business should be looking at this point is there was the rule of what's called Pareto principle, which means 20% of something will drive 80% of an outcome. And in this case, 20% of your customers will drive 80% of your profits and even your revenue. So that number 20 could be as high as 25, maybe even 30. But it is this grouping of customers that will drive the bulk of your profits, the bulk of your revenue, and really keep your business moving forward. So I want you to start to understand who in your business consists of this 20%, maybe as high as 25% of your loyal and very, very advocating customers that you have. And the reason you should know that, or if you haven't, try and look at it. Really try and gather these group of people, because what you want to do is that this group will help you sustain your business and even grow your business in a falling economy. And the best way to keep them in that mode is to communicate, to communicate with them often. Your loyal customers, they're very strong customers, want to feel appreciated. And they want to feel like they're always in the know. And so if you haven't started to communicate with this group, your market segment, start to communicate on a more frequent basis. What you might want to do, if you haven't started one and you don't have one, you might want to start a newsletter. And there's inexpensive ways in which to start a newsletter. And that there's a fairly inexpensive software program called S'mores, which is a template that can easily create newsletters. Most of you, or not all of you, if not all of you, are already on some kind of social media platform. And so start to use it as a social media post about your product, about your company, about what's happening in general with your brand. Blogs is now the rage. Everybody should have, if you have an interesting product, interesting type of information to share, you might want to start to create blogs. Webinars are, again, a growing area to keep your customers in the loop. In fact, a lot of them like to have conversations with you. And so you might want to start webinars to use the topics of the day so that you can get them in tune with what's happening with your company and your product. Another way is to conduct workshops. Workshops are always a fun thing to do. You know, if you're a bakery, you might want to show them how to bake bread. If you're a mochi company, you want to help them to make mochi or even make kimchi. These workshops are very, very important because it keeps people in connection with you, but it keeps them really engaged with what's happening with your company. You can always send emails. Is a way to communicate, but it's not really the most effective way. You also might want to start to create subscription programs. Subscription programs are great because on a regular basis, usually a monthly basis, your customers and yourself will start to have a relationship based on the type of subscription you offer. It could be on books, it could be on wine, it could be on salad dressing, a number of ways in which to structure a subscription business. And if you have an active email list and you have an active knowledge of special occasions, interpersonal, like anniversaries or holidays and birthdays, you might want to start to issue, hi, how are you doing on your birthday? That kind of things in which it makes your communication rather personal. So again, the idea behind this and the most important part of customer retention is keeping in touch with your customers, your top 20, top 30 customers, and keep them always informed. This is, as we go through the evening, you'll find that this is really important because this group of loyal customers is what's going to drive your business forward, even in a down economy. Is there any questions right now? No? All right. If not, I'll go back to my slides. So, the main point in this is that you need to specifically speak to that group of people. We are often in a down economy, we try to spread the word out way too far beyond where we're most effective. And when we start to spread our word out that's far more not as effective, it happens is that you start to confuse your customer base, especially this group of loyal customers. They become confused because they sort of have the feeling that you no longer care. So when you're addressing this group, make sure it is very specific and very targeted. And one of the things, if you don't have one in place, the one thing I'd really recommend is you start a loyalty program. It's very productive in retaining customers. And so some of the things that you can do in a loyalty program is frequent buyer programs. And this is pointless. And this is typical where you may all have experienced the stamp card. Every time you buy a product, you get stamped on it. It could be cookies, it could be cakes, it could be a number of things. And if you have a certain amount of stamps on it, a certain amount of points, you get a free cake, you get a free, whatever it is. So that's one very common and very frequent used program. The other is tiered pricing. Tiered pricing means that if the customer hits a certain level of purchases, then the more purchases, the lower the price, and that lowering of the price occurs at a very specific level of purchase. So let's say if a customer buys 10, let's just say 10 pounds of rice, for instance, it'll be one price. And then they buy 20 pounds of rice, and it's one price. But then they hit 30 pounds of rice, and that is the lowest price. And that lowest price, once they reach the 30 pounds of rice, that lower price remains for every purchase thereafter. And then there's also cashback, which means based on certain amounts of purchase quantities, they might get some cashback. Other things that is really, really effective is membership programs. Again, frequent buyer club discounts offers, very similar to the Hawaii airline Pulani Platinum. You hit a certain level, and then you get all these perks and discounts. You can create your own club. You can create your own layers of offers. You, so, you can also create a paid membership rewards, very similar to Costco. You can create a program in which your customers can buy into it really economically, and then once they buy into that program, they have all the different rewards or benefits or discounts that is associated with that program. The other area that's really great for retention and loyalty is lifestyle programs. These are targeted to very specific types of lifestyle. It could be sports, it could be pickleball players, it could be canoe people, it could be hula people, whatever it is that you think that you can affect a program that is going to touch a lifestyle of a group of people. The other one is career organizational memberships. And so you might want to create some special membership benefits for firefighters, as an example. Teachers, another example. Could be medical workers. So again, you have the opportunity to create retention programs and loyalty programs based on the career of a certain group of people. Subscription programs are always effective, as well as referral programs. Referral programs is important because you might want to start your programs in that if your loyal customer, that 20, 30% I was talking about, brings in new customers, then they will get some kind of reward or discount based on who they brought. I mean, based on how many people they brought in or if they ever brought in somebody. But this is another way in which to build loyalty among your customers. In this final area of this category, and this is really, really important, you should never stop asking this question from your customers. Can you tell me how I can do better? This is a really critical question. And the reason is that customers, your loyal customers, will tell you what you can do to be better. And it's because they want to help you. And the reason they want to help you is because they have an emotional connection to you and your company. So again, never forget to ask this question. You might want to ask it not to on a frequent basis. Can you tell me how I can do better, especially in a slowing economy? This is a crucial question to ask. Any questions about this before I move on to the next question, the next section? No, let me move on. All right, let me share my screen again. So the next area is emphasize brand value and empathy. This is really important. In a slowing economy, sometimes what we want to do is we want to focus on other areas other than our brand, but it's so important that you really emphasize your brand. And the reason is that you've built an emotional connection to your best customers. And that an emotional connection is something that your customers understand through what we call the brand promise. They are loyal to you because of the brand, based on the benefits they get from using your product and your brand, the value that they really receive from using your product, and the experience, positive experience they receive from using your product and your brand. So what you want to do is you want to emphasize what makes your brand unique from your competitors. Always try to remember that, to remind your customers why you are unique from your competitors? Why are you different? Why are you better than your competitors? Emphasize the benefits and experience you want them to receive. Again, make sure you explain what is it that I want you to receive? What kind of benefits, what kind of experience I want you to receive from my brand? A brand's perception is how customers experience the brand. And this is the critical point. Customers really function on experience. What they want to do, if they're loyal to a brand and loyal to a product, they like the experience of using that product. It relieves them from some problems that they're having that they need to fix. They find that it's the best possible solution to their problem. And the most important thing about this is that you need to have your brand's consistency in messaging. This is something in a down economy, a lot of businesses who's never experienced a down economy faces this really, I would say damaging, but really weakening effect in that they tend to stray away from the messaging of their brand. What they do is start to stray from their brand position. And the reason is that they're trying to get more customers, to get trying more sales. And so what they're trying to do is to reach out beyond where their brand really should exist. So brand positioning differentiates you from your competition and carves out your unique space your brand occupies in the minds of the customers. It means your brand sits in a very special place in the minds of your consumers. And so you need to clearly communicate the problem you are solving and why your product is better than any alternative. If you haven't done so, you can create a brand positioning statement. Also, emphasize your brand story. This is critical in that every brand has a story, and your customers you are usually know your story and they appreciate your story and they will tell the story to other people. But if you stop reminding them about your story, they might just forget about it. So you always want to talk about the story of your brand. How did your brand start? What makes you stay in business? Why are you so passionate about your product? Why are you so passionate about your business? Why did you start and what you're trying to go? So your story is super important because it humanizes you and your business. And if you stop reminding your customers about your story, they may just sort of not remember it as well and will not tend to spread it. If you stray from your brand, you will confuse your customers. And this is critical. Your customers know your product and your brand based on the relationship and emotion that's been built. Once you stray away from it, you start to confuse your customers. It's very similar if you had a very good friend, your best friend, you and that person was always in tune, always in tune. And then suddenly your friends started not responding to you in a way that they usually do. And what happens is that now you sort of say, well, what's happening here? Did I do something wrong? Or maybe are you not interested anymore? And so when you start to stray from your brand position in a down economy, this is what happens to your loyal customers. They start to get confused and they might just look for another brand or product to follow. So in today's competitive market, creating a personalized customer experience has become crucial for businesses. And the best way to do that is that they want to belong to a community. They want to belong somewhere. And the best way to be on the same page with them is to tailor product recommendation, customize solution, provide individualized communication, enhance customer acquisition, improving customer retention rate. That means you start to focus to your people so that they feel like they belong to a community, they feel like they belong, and that is the heart of positioning. And when you start to stray from your position, you sort of say to them, maybe I'm not in the right community. Maybe I should look for another community. So again, very important that you individualize your communications and your products to this group of people. So a successful brand is like an old friend. You can trust, feel emotionally connected to, and know they will always have your best interests at heart. And this is critical. So you always want to make sure that they feel that your brand is an old friend, that they can trust you, they're emotionally connected, and that they'll always have their best interests at heart. And again, when you start to drift away from your brand position, this relationship starts to get strained and they may just leave. So what I want you to do is to really focus on the value and benefits, and benefits, because the price could be the same, but the perception of benefits being greater and the value being greater is really based on what they're receiving. So always compete on customer benefits, not on price. And here's another reminder. I hate to give you too many reminders, but this is a helpful tip. Constantly remind your customers how your product or service is improving their lives. And this is, again, something that we do as a business. We sometimes go on, and we've had customers for many, many years, and we sort of assume that they know it. Well, and the reality is sometimes, with so many things on their mind, they may forget why they are buying your product. They're just buying out of habit, but after a while, if you don't remind them how your product is improving their lives, they might try to seek another alternative to their problem. Again, it's your benefit. It's to your benefit that you're able to constantly remind why your product or your service and your brand is improving their lives. The power of storytelling. So I want to show you a quick video on the power of storytelling. So again, I'm going to stop the share, and I have a two-step video on this. It's a two-step process when I'm showing videos. So let me stop right now. Let's start this.
This is I Am. I Am is a good storyteller. No, scratch that. I Am is a great storyteller. We're always telling stories. We always have. From cave paintings to that jaunty new hat we're sporting, everything tells a story. I Am understands the importance of storytelling. Telling a good story gives you power over your audience. Stories engage people to help communicate ideas. You can see how this would be handy in the workplace. Telling a good story creates a bond between the storyteller and the listener. And when that connection is made, the brain of the listener releases oxytocin. The love hormone tells us that we can trust the storyteller and a relationship can form. And you wouldn't do business with someone you can't trust, right? The founder of a successful business will always have a good story to tell. Building a business through blood, sweat, tears, and sacrifice gives their story authenticity. And because they believe in it, you will too. You're telling your own story right now. It's not just those carefully chosen words. Subconsciously, you're giving off signals. Your body posture, the clothes that you're wearing. Stories don't have to be complex or detailed to be interesting. The simpler a story is, the more likely it is to stick. You can maximize your storytelling power by remembering this simple little acronym. S. Solve a problem. Use your story to answer a question that your audience has been thinking. T. Triumph. Whatever happens in your story, an eventual triumph will capture the hearts of your audience. O. Outcome. Consider what you want the end game of your story is. Alt line. Consider what you want the end game of your story to be. What are you trying to achieve by telling it? R. Research. With the correct research, you can tailor a narrative to be specific to your audience. Y. U. Using your own stories wherever possible makes a story more believable. Believing in your story goes a long way to convincing your audience of your sincerity. Make your stories engaging and build a relationship with your audience. If you do that, you'll soon be working on a sequel. The end.
But hopefully that shows you the importance of a story. If you haven't developed a story, I'd like you to develop a very strong story about your business, and make sure you are communicating to not just your new customers, but also your current customers. Let me go back to my slides. So let's look at the next area. Nope. Nope.
This is
There, I don't want you to stop there. Look at the PowerPoint. I am keep sorry. I am people wants to keep going ahead. Let me try and get back to my slides. Probably have to do it this way. Sorry, to scan all the way down. Get past I am. There we go. There I am keeps coming back. I apologize. This I am just keeps trying to come back and play it, even though I don't want it to play.
this.
Yep. Come on, I didn't stop.
This is
I apologize for this error. Let's try this one more time. This is the what I want. So people buy with their emotions, not their logic. So this is critical because most people often make their final purchase decision not based on the logic of solving the problem, but the emotions that they feel about a product or a brand. And so they'll make that decision based on that emotion. So let's get to the next slide. And I hope I am does not pop up again. So why is that guy not going away? So the next thing we'll take a look at, and I have no idea why this thing keeps popping back to I am, so I'm going to do it in this fashion for now. So, advertising is, when we need more customers, we tend to want to advertise more. And what we want to do is to say, no, we don't want to advertise more. And the reason we don't want to advertise more is because it is a cost. When you advertise, it's a paid message delivered to some kind of communication channel. And there's a lag between when the message is delivered and the response takes place. And that lag and that cost of the channel increases your customer acquisition costs. So customer acquisition cost is the cost that you incur to get a new customer. And this is really something that for most companies could be quite detrimental. And the reason is that when you acquire a new customer, it takes a while for them to build enough purchases to offset what it costs to get them into the business and to buy the first product. And so what you want to do is you want to, in a down economy, you don't want to increase your expenses. But what you want to do is you want to get more sales, of course, and more customers. And you do it because, well, let me show you the next slide. Let me try and get this guy up. And he keeps going back. I have no idea again why it was stuck. I'm going to keep it this way. Keep it this way. So one of the things we want to do is this is a unbalanced customer, which a customer with the cost of getting a new customer is really more than what they're able to give back in the current purchases. In a down economy, this is a really bad situation where your cost is too high, but your return on that cost is still low, but it's growing, but it's low. What you want is you want to have a low customer acquisition cost so that even though the purchases may be low, because the cost to get your new customer in place is relative, is low, then your value or your profitability or your sales rises greater than that cost. And this is what you want. You don't want this where your cost is higher than the return that you're getting, but you want to have a return higher than that cost. And the best way to do that is through your current customers. What you want to do is you want to gain new customers through your network of strong advocating customers. And what I mean is that customers who feel appreciated and safe will tell other people about being appreciated and safe. This is typical. If you're having a good relationship with a company or a brand, you're going to want to tell other people about it. So they will also help other people to feel appreciated, safe by referring them to your product. So it's typical. I know you've done the same thing. You have a great product, you know about a great product, a great experience, and your friends will say, "Hey, I need to get this," and you would automatically refer them to your preferred brand. And that's what you want in this case to gain more customers. Your good customers, your loyal customers want to help other people. And they will find customers who've been underserved by your competitor. When the economy goes down, what happens a lot of times is your competition pulls back often, or they make the mistakes that I've been discussing earlier. And so when they do that, they sort of underserve their current customers. And these customers, as I've been discussing, gets confused. And so when they get confused, they seek other brands or other products in which they need help on. So what happens is that your loyal customers will find these people because they will always, people will come to them and say, well, I need this, I need this type of whatever it is. And they say, well, yeah, I know, I use the same. This is what you should do. So what is important is that you use your network of good customers to help drive more new customers into your customer base. And to do that, you need to develop and deliver customer referral promotions. This is important. Customer referral promotions such as friends and family sales event. By invitation only sales events, in which is by invitation only, they can bring other people with them to this special event. Customer referral rewards. Make sure you have a customer referral rewards program. and discount coupons to give to your friends. This is one of the most important things to do. If somebody buys a product from you, you might want to say, hey, tell you what, you have a friend? Yeah, tell you what, I'm going to give you a discount for 10%, but I also give you another coupon for 10% and give this to your friends. So these are ways in which you can use your current network of strong customers to help you build your network of new customers. Very important. So let me get over into the next section. Again, speak specifically to your customer base because you want to speak the language of your target market. Again, what's important is that when you start to work with your customers, that they feel that you're speaking directly to them, and so that you encode the message you're delivering so that they can decode it and take action on it. So the idea behind this is that as you work with your good customers, you're going to start to understand the best ways to communicate with them and so that they can respond quickly. And this is an example of that. So this is the IE model, which means typical marketing ways into which to gain some kind of promotional goals, gain some attention, drive some interest, drive desire in that customer, and create final action, or which is a purchase. This is an example of how that works. So in this case, where attention, you say, so save the date. Fantastic sale starts July 4th. That gets their attention. The 4th of July week sale starts now. There gets some interest. Oh, it's starting now. And then as it goes on, only 2 days left before the 4th of July week sales ends. Again, this creates more desire. The closer the time to an end time, the more desire is built. And lastly, make sure that every promotion and sales that you run has a defined start and end date. One of the biggest mistakes that happens is that you run a sale and there's no defined start and end date. And when that happens, you start to confuse your customers. These are typical strategic discounts and coupons, percentage discount sales, membership discounts, lifestyle discounts, we spoke about earlier, promotional discounts, BOGOs and bundles, buy one, get one, or bundle of grouping. This is always really popular, the BOGO, and that's why you see it so much on many, many retail floors. Special event discounts like anniversary sale. If you, on your start day, you want to create an anniversary sale, you should always have an anniversary sale so that you can create a special event only for your company because every company has a different start date. The other thing you might want to do is to use coupons. Coupons are reminders, and this is important. You want customers to come back, and by using coupons, you can give them a reminder to come back and buy more things. And so these coupons take the percentage and dollar off coupons, next visit coupons. This is always popular. On your next visit, you got Long's Drugs use this quite a bit. Cross business coupons, so different businesses who offer coupons to other businesses. Special event coupons. Lastly, what you got is rebates, and rebates are really kind of interesting. And rebates means you get $100 off, but you have to send a receipt to a manufacturer or maybe to you directly. 70% of rebates are not redeemed. So what happens is people buy a product based on that, they'll get $100 off, but they don't redeem it, and they forget all about it, and they redeem it. So the retailer gets full pop on it. And then you'll structure your promotions based on the three ways in which you communicate to your customers: to inform, to persuade, or to remind. And this is a typical marketing communications tool. And this is how it works. So you're either going to inform your customers, you're going to persuade your customers, or you're going to remind your customers. And in a promotion, it looks very similar to this. To introduce, you have a 25% introductory discount on corner lime guava. I've just invented corner lime guava. and I want to introduce it. So I give a 25% discount. To persuade somebody to buy it, my new flavor, buy one cone of lime, which is a new flavor, and get any other flavor for 50% off. And so this is persuading them. When you buy this new flavor, you get 50% off another flavor that's probably your favorite. And to remind, 25% off introductory discount price with a coupon for 25% off when you buy the next purchase. So this is how you would stage different discounts for different purchases. And as we come to the end of the evening, we have one more area to cover. So let me cover that area. And this is compete against the right competitor. Now, this is really, really important. When the economy starts to slow and you want more customers and you want more sales, you tend to start to go after different competitors. You start to widen your attack, lack of better, your attack front. Here's the thing I want you to remember. So brand positioning, it differentiates you, it makes you different from your competition. It makes you unique and gives you a very special place in the minds of your consumer. So in this brand, you clearly communicate the problem you are solving, why your product service is better than any alternative. But now you have to choose who you're going to compete against. This is important. You have to know who to compete against that you can be successful against. Choosing too many competitors change your message and brand perception. When you go after too many competitors, you change the way you go to market, the messaging, your branding, and that starts to confuse your customers. So to prevent that from happening, what you want to do is to conduct a SWOT analysis. So a SWOT analysis stands for, I don't think I want, we don't have time to watch the video, but it stands for this. It stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So what happens is that you will take, and these are internal to your company. So you have to really understand, what are you really strong at? What are you good at? And you also have to understand, what are you not good at? What are your weaknesses? And the reason is that in the environment, when the marketplace, you have opportunities that exist, and then there's threats that exist. And by knowing what you're really good at, what you're not so good at, and recognizing what opportunities lie out there, and recognize what threats are out there, you can pretty much position yourself against competition so that you can match your strengths against their weaknesses. And then you can take advantage of the opportunities that's out there and protect yourself from the strength. But you have to go ahead and understand what you're really good at, what you're weak at, where opportunities exist, and what threats. Sometimes what happens in a down economy is companies try to strengthen their weakness, and the problem is that you don't have enough time or resources to do that. So always focus on your strengths and focus on the weak points of your competition. So you need to look at your competitors and say, where is my strength the best against their weaknesses? And those are the two competitors you want to select to compete against. Again, don't try to focus your competition into just the two that you know you can compete against. Don't compete in a lot of areas, because you will be using your weaknesses against their strength. So hopefully this helps you to figure out how to compete against your customers, like your competitors, in an effective way. The last thing I want to cover is always make sure you have a promotional calendar plan. Write it down by months, by events, and then be strategic on where you're going to select any price discount, any communications, or anything that you want to affect your production and sales, production and profitability, and customer relationships. So make sure you have a monthly calendar detailing every move that you're going to make that month. And so with that, as always, there is a limited one-on-one complimentary consultation with myself if you want to. If you want to have that consultation, go ahead and consult with the Waiwa Value Added Product Development Center for an appointment, and I'll be glad to set that up as in person or in Zoom. Also, great things are always happening at the Waiwa Center, so we invite you to schedule a tour. If you toured it before, come by and make a new one. There's so much new, exciting things happening at the center. And lastly, Mikhail, aloha, pumiha. Thank you very, very much for attending this evening. I really appreciate you sharing your evening with me. So thank you so much. Stop sharing. Let's see. So there's a question in the chat. Let me read the chat. So Lauren, did you ask that question? I'm sorry. If not, thank you for coming, and I appreciate you investing your time with me. I hope this was helpful. As always, we look forward to meeting you next time. If you have any questions, make sure you can contact me at any time. So thank you for again very much for investing your time with me. We'll see you very shortly. Thank you. Bye, Lauren.